maybe he's on to Cincinnati. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. These are the numbers on the season that he put together. You see it all up there, and you know it all by now. He's counted for the most touchdowns, threw the most touchdowns, won the most games, etc. So we've got Shefty sitting here, and of course there will always be some intrigue because he's a lock to be number one, we would assume. But is it a lock in your mind that it is the Bengals who wind up making that pick?
Well, listen, we usually have teams that approach teams with the number one pick. Last year was an exception because it was Kyler Murray and it was Cliff Kingsbury, and everybody expected them to be joined at the hip and enter into the relationship that they did. But usually when it's any other team and other quarterbacks, you see teams approach that first team with that first pick to see if they could probably lose the pick. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but I think it would be an upset if there weren't teams that went to the Bengals. You got the Dolphins with all this ammunition. You got the Chargers that need a quarterback. We got the Panthers who have Joe Brady, Joe Burrow's former passing game coordinator at LSU. So there are any number of options of teams that aren't that far away that if they put together a package that was attractive enough, sure, why not?
And Laura, the reality of it is that while Burrow is overwhelmingly considered the number one quarterback here, there are two other quarterbacks that will go high in this draft that maybe the Bengals would be looking at and think to themselves, we get a king's ransom and I get that guy.
Well, absolutely. And that would be Tua Tagovailoa, who, of course, will have the injury concerns. That'll be a big part of the conversation leading up to the draft, as well as Justin Herbert, who people keep forgetting about. But Justin Herbert, when you see him stand up there, you know, even next to a Joe Burrow, I mean, he looks like the prototypical guy. A lot of people are very impressed by Herbert and what he brings to the table. And so I think that's where, you know, you could see some of these other guys end up mixing in. The one thing I would say about that, Acho, is that Joe Burrow is the guy that you can plug in right now, and he's going to make an instant difference. So which team do you think, or would you like to see trade for Burrow?
The team that makes the most sense, the Carolina Panthers. It's obvious. Think about Matt Rule. He just took over. Matt Rule defensively, what he did at Baylor, phenomenal. They go from 1-11 to 11-2, but the defensive starters, 10 of the 11 players were the same. So it's not like he brought in a bunch of recruits and stuff like that. Then you think about Joe Brady. Comes to LSU as the offensive analyst, partners with Joe Burrow, and in that perfect combination, they light it up. Have the greatest season of all time and have the greatest quarterback season of all time. No knock on Cam or anybody else on the Panthers roster, but Greeny, they got magic in a bottle for one season at LSU. Imagine what they could do.
I love it. The only thing I keep going back to is that Laura and everyone else tells me the best situation for Tua would be to get drafted and to sit a year. Yeah. Cam Newton could be that year in Carolina, and you take Tua Tagovailoa, you play a year out with Cam Newton, you see what happens, and then you have Tua and you get whatever you get in the trade. It'll be very interesting to see what winds up happening.
That's if Tua lasts that long, though, right?
I don't think he's lasted very long.
Not to 7.
Oh, well, he might last to 7, but I don't think he's getting out of the top 10.
No, neither do I. All those things are to be determined.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.